From local blogger and author Leanne Shirtliffe, deals with a little girl trying to find the right name for her, and it is a very sweet book. Welcome.
Thanks, Tara.
Earlier I called you a blother and auger. I hope you aren't offended by that.
I am not offended easily as a mother of 10-year-old twins.
The concept of this book, well, it kind of makes me think about when I was about, I don't know, 8 years old, and I decided that I hated my name. Where does this come from you?
Well, it ties into that idea that I think I dreamed of being a Jessica when I was young and not a Leanne. But I was actually listening to the radio one day years ago, and I think the host came across a hard to pronounce name, and he made some comment like, "That guy should go to the Change Your Name store." And I wrote that down in my notebook, and I went, "Change Your Name store." And it sat there for a couple of years, and then I pulled it out and thought, what if there were a Change Your Name store? I mean, how much fun would that be?
Okay, so take us through the book itself.
Well, the main character is Wilma Lee Wu, and she's a spunky little girl of Asian background. She's Canadian or American or from North America, born here. But her parents are a bit slacker parents. They're on their phones all the time, and she decides she doesn't like her name. So she goes to the Change Your Name store, and she meets the owner there. And while she's there, she can try on new names, but it's almost like a Narnia closet. When you go there, you get transported to the country and see if the name fits you. So she first goes to France, for example, where she tries on the name Babette Bijou. And she sees if Babette Bijou fits her, and she's at the Louvre, and she's, all these people are staring at her like she's the art. And she goes back and says, that one doesn't feel right. And she goes to other countries, such as Bahrain in the Middle East. She goes to Belize, and she goes to Kenya. And then she comes back and makes her final selection.
Makes her final, which we won't give away because you have
to
pick up the book, and the illustrations are also very beautiful. You mentioned that the main character, Wilma Lee Wu, is of Asian descent. That was a very calculated choice. Tell us why.
Well, it wasn't as calculated originally. It's a great decision in hindsight. I lived in Asia for 8 years as an adult. I worked there, met my husband in Bahrain, had my children in Thailand. So Asia is really much a part of who we are as a family. And that was just one decision. But upon making that decision and calling her Wilma Lee Wu, a study has come out last year that shows 93% of main characters in children's picture books are Caucasian. So there's this complete lack of diversity.
Right.
And given our current society here, and if you look at even the names in Calgary in Alberta that have come out recently, I mean, they span the globe in terms of their diversity, but that same diversity is not represented in children's books. So although it wasn't quite so calculating, I think it's a book that's needed in classrooms and homes given our diverse society.
Well, I really, as a parent, I appreciate that very much. Okay, so you wanted to be a Jessica, I wanted to be a Christine. What about your kids?
Well, my kids turned 10 today, so 10 years ago in Bangkok, I was forced with a decision. The best decision we made was not to tell anyone the names we were thinking of.
Right.
So that was the best. So Vivian, she likes her name. She wishes she could find it on more things. And I think that's probably a bit of the issues.
But which is the irony is she'll appreciate that so much later.
I was telling her that this morning. I hope so. And William, I mean, that's still in the top 10. It wasn't when we named him, but it's gone up in popularity. And I think he likes it. He doesn't like Willie. He doesn't like a lot of the shortened forms, but he's our William.
Now, there were some odd choices. The list of Alberta's most popular names came out not that long ago, and there were some interesting choices. What's your take on the apples of the world, for instance?
Well, it's an interesting choice, and I think parents are really trying to find a way to give their child a sense of uniqueness that isn't there. And my cynical self says, well, it'll be easier for them to find their own URL for when they want to start a blog or their own online profile. But I don't know if it's going to make phonics easier or harder when you have even normal names like Christina being spelled with K-R-Y-Z, etc. So there's some interesting spellings. There's some interesting celebrity derivation. We have, Beckham, like David Beckham. There's 12 kids in Alberta this year named Beckham.
Okay.
You know, and Uniqua, who's, if you've ever seen the Backyardigans, there's a Uniqua, and there's a phonics lessons for you.
Oh boy! All right. Well, lots more from Leanne, the author of "Don't Lick the Minivan" and now this, the Change Your Name story. You can also check out Leanne's writing online on her blog, theironicmom.com. Not the ironic, ironicmom.com. For more information and links, head to breakfasttelevision.ca. Always lovely to see you, and happy birthday to your twin.
Thank you, Tara.
Coming up.